Welcome back to EDH on a Budget. I'm your host, Iceman, and today we're going to be going over my 5 favorite new modal cards for monocolored. I just did one on the dual color ones, which I think many of them are actually better than the monocolor, but these monocolor ones, most of them fetch more because on the land side you can you can pay 3 life to have it come in untapped, and a lot of the faster, more competitive decks will really care about having untapped land access. So sometimes they're willing to put these cards into their decks for, even though they may not be as good as some of the ones on the other video, in my opinion. Some of these are definitely better. But let's start off. First up, we have Disciple of Freyalise. This is a creature that costs 3 green, green, so 6 mana. It's a 3/3 elf druid. When Disciple of Freyalise enters the battlefield, you may sacrifice another creature. If you do, gain X life and draw X cards, where X is that creature's power. So on the backside, it's just a land that taps for 1 green mana, and you can pay 3 life to have it enter untapped. So let's talk about the creature side. Things to note: you have to sacrifice another creature. So if you only have one other creature and somebody removes that creature while the ETB is on the stack, you're out of luck. You can't sacrifice this. You just paid a 6 mana 3/3. Not very good in that aspect. Does it have huge upside? Yes, especially in green. Green is known for big stompy creatures, so I might only play this card as a creature if I have multiple creatures that I wouldn't mind drawing. I mean, 6 mana, I'm kind of going to want at least 5 cards, and even 5 I wouldn't be that happy with, but drawing only 2 or 3 is just going to feel really bad for paying 6 mana. The upside of it being a creature is Flicker, Reanimate. Just bringing it back to the battlefield in some way, shape, or form. Because it's an ETB, it can be abused. You do gain some life, but that's going to be a minor attribute of this card. This card will cost about 86 cents on TCG Player right now. All the prices are based off of TCG Player. Next up is Fell the Profane. This instant costs 2 black, destroy target creature or planeswalker. So this is very similar to the original cycle. Has a one that's also 4 mana and destroys just target creature. I don't think it targets a planeswalker. So that one could be 3 mana, possibly. But this one's much more expensive. People are really going for this one. It's $2.33. My opinion is it's good. Is it worth $2.33? Probably not. I'd probably just get the other one, to be honest. But for this release of the monocolored ones, this is going to be my top 5, because the bottom 5, they're just not that good. I don't know if I'd play many of them. Is there a little downside to them? Yeah. But I just don't want to pay money on cards that are just garbage on the front side, because then if I'm not going to play the front side ever, or more than likely not going to play the front side, then you have a land that enters tapped unless you pay 3 life. So in that case, it's worse than a basic land in that aspect. So definitely be a little choosy. Next we have Sink into Stupor. This instant is 1 blue. It costs $3.55 roughly, and it has return target spell or non-land permanent an opponent controls to its owner's hand. So in some ways, I don't like that it says an opponent controls, because it cuts down the flexibility on this a little bit. If it said any non-land permanent, then you could use this to save one of your spells from something that you wanted, like a targeted removal. Like, you're not going to use this to bounce a Swords to Plowshare back to their hand, because they're just going to play it. You're going to pay 3 mana, and they're just going to pay 2 mana and get the job done. It's not going to save your creature. Now, what is this card going to be used for besides not countering the uncounterable, but like preventing those cards that say can't be countered? That is a nice way to get around this. But I see this and I think this is a good way to stop board wipes. Most board wipes are a little pricey in mana, 4, 5, 6 mana. Are they going to be able to do that again in the same turn? Probably not. I mean, imagine bouncing a farewell back to their hand. What's everybody going to do on the rotation? They're going to be done because they can't cast farewell again, more than likely. And the next three players are going to be like, well, player removal, anybody? Yeah? Okay. And then they're all going to attack that one player, and even if they farewell, it's probably going to be too far gone for them at that point. Or somebody's going to see that they have a farewell and think, hey, I have a counterspell. I'm just going to save it for that farewell instead of tapping out. So that's the return target spell side. It's good. 3 mana's like, okay, it's not bad. But also having the return non-land permanent in opponent controls, that's having that flexibility is good, having both. Because with blue, when you have counter spells, they don't help you when the opponents already have stuff on the board. So being able to bounce stuff back to their hand and then use your counter spell, that's not bad. And I've definitely had several games where an opponent has a stacks piece, and I just let it resolve until I'm ready to bounce it, and then I do my thing with no stacks because I bounced their one card that was stopping me from doing what I needed done. Next up, this one was really hard to pick between the top two, and I it took a lot of going back and forth, but I'm going with Sundering Eruption for my next pick. It's a sorcery, it costs 2 and a red. Destroy target land. Its controller may search their library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. Creatures without flying can't block this turn. So really, it has 3 separate effects. The middle effect is going to be contingent upon, like, it's an option in a way, because they may search and may not search. It's not conditional upon destroying a land. I'm pretty sure you can use this on your own indestructible land, and this card will ramp you then. Turn 3 ramp and red with a land. Not bad. But really, it's the bottom that I really like. Creatures without flying can't block this turn. That is on kind of a lot of cards, but they don't have the flexibility. Those other cards that have that, it's pretty much just that. This being able to destroy a land, there's a lot of lands that need destroyed, and having one that has multiple uses in terms of it could be an untapped land, it can destroy a problematic land, it can make it so creatures without flying can't block this turn. That's a lot of potential possibilities there, especially if you include that possible ramp potential like I mentioned. You may have to explain that if there's some newer players at the table. Its controller may search your land for a basic land card is not dependent upon the destroy. Like, the land doesn't have to actually be destroyed, you just have to target the land, and the effect resolves and it's not destroyed, but you still get to search, so that's pretty nice. Kind of an odd, it's kind of red's only way to ramp with lands in red, if I'm being honest. There is no other way for red to do it. They thrive on rituals and just being aggro. You don't need to have the most lands because you're trying to win before 10 lands hit the battlefield or more, because the longer the game goes, the worse they're off. And if you could like, share, and subscribe, that would really help the channel grow. If we still have one more, but if you have any modal lands that are your favorite, please let me know. Modal lands are great, and I'll enjoy having a discussion with you about it. My favorite, the best one I feel, is Witch Enchanter. This is a human warlock that costs 3 and a white, has 2/2 stats. The important part is when this creature enters the battlefield, destroy target artifact or enchantment an opponent controls. So that's great. An ETB on a potential untapped land that can come in also as a creature. White has many ways to draw cards, but the most common way is with creatures that have power 2 or less. Some of them care about mana value, so this wouldn't work with those, but so this can draw you cards in those decks, depending. Humans, very popular archetype for tribal. Or tribal's archetype, very common tribal type. And it being an ETB, so I'm thinking flicker this a bunch. You could reanimate it, but flickering decks are so much cheaper than reanimating, and they have so many more spells. Like, you could probably find at least 20 spells that could bounce this, not bounce it, but flicker it into exile and bring it back, and get that ETB again and again for 2 mana or less very easily. It's just, white and blue love to do that, so this can really decimate an opponent's board. And being able to take out 2 card types like that, have a blocker. Would you play it alone in white? No. But having this on the backside be an untapped land, yeah, definitely. This has got a lot of good value and it'll help you not be so mana flooded or mana screwed if you don't have enough lands. And it's, I don't remember if I said the price, but I'm going to say it again then. $1.46. This is, I can't believe this is not the most expensive modal card from this set, that Modern Horizon 3. I feel like it should be. But I'll definitely be picking up some of these. Let me know. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.